We're so lucky to have Jackson. And if you want more of him on Mondays, he provides the background music for our excellent Monday meditations. We are now doing the Seasons of Meditation series, and there's lots of seasons to be grateful for as we meditate. Now today, we also have a home soul to speak to us today about love. Really? Right here in our midst. Practitioner Emeritus Mel Hirsch has been with the Science of Mind for over 30 years. He spent time in Burbank, California, say that twice fast. He then went to Sedona for about 6 years and then came here about somewhat 15 years ago and has been a practitioner here with us. And so welcome Mel Hirsch speaking to us about love really.
Thank you, John. It's going to take me a moment to bring up my stuff here. And Jackson, that was a fabulous, fabulous song. Thank you so much. Well, good morning. It is a joy, a real joy to be with you this beautiful, beautiful day. It's a privilege to tell you a little bit about what an amazing journey this religious science experience is. You know what? It continues to get better. In these days, I'm feeling, I see you feeling, see our whole CSL community feeling and knowing a greater sense of humanity. Beyond that, there's even more for us. It's our divine self. By whatever name, God, Spirit within, your divine self, creating, loving, inspiring. Some journey we're on here. Many roads around and through this dimension, and I'm imagining the next one too. As Ernest Holmes described it, spirit forever and ever expanding. My talk today is called Love One Another. Really? Yeah, really. Gotta do it. Most of us, I think, would agree that that was a core message of a young rabbi. Name was Jesus, and he spread his message in a region we know now as the Middle East. And he summed it up in 3 words: love one another. Now, it sounds simple until life happens. And there are times when it's real easy, and other times when it's not so much. But the interesting part is, I think for purpose of today, I want to speak about just a couple of basic terms, and that is our humanity, you know, the doing part, and our spiritual part, you know, that part of us that just knows that there is something else. It inspires us and it teaches us, and most of all, it loves us without a single condition. Not one. With those thoughts, which are mostly human. And we do things, and we make things, and to a degree we create things. With our feelings, we make some decisions about what's real and what isn't, and they're not quite as reliable all the time. Those decisions, I think I would divide them into what has been motivated by spirit and what has been motivated by, but this is the way I want it. You don't understand, God. My case is different. Okay. So I've got one little piece of this that describes it in very, very succinct terms. You guys have, I'm sure, all been to a wedding or two. Maybe you've had a wedding or two. And at most weddings, and you have a big family, maybe you've been to 5 or 6 of them. In most families, there's this passage from Corinthians all about love, because that's what weddings are about, aren't they? It starts, love is patient, love is kind. You guys all heard that before? Yeah, okay. Well, I started to break that down yesterday. And surprisingly, there are 18 statements in there. 8 of them describe what love is. Love from a spiritual point of view. 10 of them describe what love isn't. I want to just speak to what love is today. When we find ourselves in that place where love isn't, and I'll run through them real quick. Envy, doesn't boast, not proud, not rude, not self-seeking, not easily angered, keeps no record of wrongs, delights in evil. Wow. It was different in those days, wasn't it? But the others, patient, kind, rejoices with the truth, protects, trusts, hopes, perseveres, never fails. Now that sounds like spirit to me. And those weddings start us off so very, very well. And then life happens, and sometimes we forget. And we're kind of motivated to start over, maybe even go somewhere else. So, remember that you've been to a lot of weddings. Maybe you've been to 5 or 6 weddings. But if you or anybody you know has had 5 or 6 weddings, maybe it's time to talk with somebody about making some changes. And that's where I think we've been going on this journey. So let's talk about some of the aspects of love. And one of the early debates that we had when I first got into religious science, and that is love a noun or is love a verb? There are ways to describe love as a noun. I got them. Great admiration. Strong feelings of friendship and warmth, fondness, tenderness, highest esteem. All true. How about love as a verb? Anybody want to just speak out one or two or three words that describe love as a verb? Excuse me?
Action, movement.
Action. Mm-hmm. Acceptance. Compassion. Thank you very much. Say again. Healing. Healers. Agreed. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Empathy. Okay, they're wonderful. I want to add a couple, and that is acknowledging somebody. And one more, forgiving somebody. Because the whole humanity deal includes the fact that we make mistakes. Sometimes one or two a day, sometimes more, but we all make them. And that's where the forgiveness comes in. So, oh good, we're doing real well on time. I'm going to suggest that, let me set the scene for you a little bit. We have been learning around here in the last couple of years about something that's called the zone of genius. The zone of genius, as I'm understanding it, is that thing that we do, that we perform in, that gives us so much joy and pleasure, and that makes a difference not only in our lives but in the life of someone else or maybe several others. And it's something that we would do for free, but a lot of us get rewarded for it, either monetarily or in some other way. That's what I would call a zone of genius. There are a couple of people in the room that I would acknowledge. The first is Jackson. And why Jackson? Because here's a man that's very talented. He came here as a teacher, and I learned that at his school he was teacher of the year after year after year, and I understand that he finally said, please don't put my name up anymore. That's because he was good at it, and he brought passion to it. And he also had a second passion, and it was his music. Now, teachers operate under contracts. Teachers know how much money they're going to get. Teachers have a life that calls for them to bring out the best of themselves, and that was something that Jackson was doing all those years. And the music didn't push at him, the music pulled at him. Now, I've not been a musician. I'm told, however, that musicians' income is not as steady. It doesn't just show up. You don't get too many contracts unless you've been at it a while and have a national following. Didn't make any difference to Jackson because it called to him. It was his passion. It was something that he would do for free, and now we know that he doesn't have to do it for free, and it's getting better, and it's getting better, and even more people are getting inspired out of that whole process, the zone of genius, and living your passion. That song just kind of brought that up for me, sir. It wasn't it's not on the paper here. I'm going to ask you guys to be doing something here. I'd like you to think about someone in your life. Perhaps they're in this room, don't have to be in this room. If you're online, someone with whom you have history. It might be somebody very close that you have a wonderful relationship with it, but there's a hitch in the get along occasionally. And I would like you to think about how you would acknowledge them out loud. No, you don't have to do it in this room out loud. I'm not asking you to do that. Or think about them and think about something that you know you would forgive them for. And if you really want to play this game at a higher level, I'm going to invite you to, and it doesn't mean that there's anything going on, but I would like you, if you care to just look around the room and see if somebody, maybe somebody that you don't even know that well, but there's something in them that you've seen that you want to acknowledge, that you want to be able to look at them and say, you've done something or you've been something that has meaning to me. Let's take a minute and contemplate on that, okay? Okay, so if you've got something or somebody in your mind, I'm going to ask that sometime in the next, either by the end of this day or within the next couple, that you find a way to do that, even if it's just writing a note to yourself. Don't even have to send it. See how that sits with you. You know, on this journey, I can tell you that personally, it can be very, very difficult for me to take this journey without a sense of humor. Very important. I don't leave home without it. I wish I could remember who I heard say, if you can't laugh at your religion, you don't have one. So I really wanted to know, so I started looking it up. Miss Google doesn't know. Ask Siri where it comes from, you know what you get? Recalculating. But sooner or later, I need to lighten up. I've been looking at the wall and our 4 core values that we agreed to a few years ago. And the one that's still a little on the elusive side is joy. Feeling joyful. I have my moments. But I think the challenge is we are in a transition around here. But that every transition we have been in as a community, as a movement, at the end of it, we came out ahead. We came out better. We came out lighter. I mean, look at the physical changes around here. So I guess, to quote somebody, why should today be so different? Can't you see where we're headed? And it's only good. Remember, only good will come from this. Remember one of those big, fat, horrible, terrible things that happened many years ago? I will not survive this one. And here we are. And it's better. So why should today be so different? It comes from loving one another. It comes from understanding and recognizing that at the end of the day, there are basically 2 feelings. They are love or fear. I'm not going to say that fear doesn't happen or that we ought not recognize it. But how about recognizing it as a warning? Just a warning that maybe we're getting disconnected from that part of ourselves that was born in us. Just look at a baby picture of yourself if you want to get a perfect example. I want to end early. And let me tell you why. Something arrived a couple, 3, 4 days ago. I think that sums up not only what's happening in the entire world, which is a little more divided these days, and it so touched me that I spoke to the person that wrote it and posted it. It was Tracy Brown, recently awarded a doctorate. She's a practitioner's practitioner. And She's been here a time or two. And I asked her permission to use this. And so this is the closing prayer. And it's called, Forgive Me the Treatment. Infinite intelligence is always expressing life. It is love and peace and abundance. It is compassion, order, and joy. It is the source of all life, including yours, including mine. Our life is God's life, and God's life is ours, no matter the appearance or condition. We are love and peace and abundance within. We are compassion, order, and joy at our core. I speak this word with clarity and conviction as we turn away from an old habit of confusion and turn toward clarity. When faced with the overwhelm, shame, and blame of failure, we stop believing in temporary circumstances and claim the eternal truth. When feeling anger and pain coming upon us, we acknowledge, then we experience, and we remember, I am on a journey that is eternal. Today's emotions and experiences do not tell the whole story. I'm living the book that is my life. How do I want this chapter to end? We cast our anchor into the sea of divinity, even when faced with a hurricane named humanity. We choose our higher self and consciously use our lives to create a tapestry that features the glory of God, not the horrors of humanity. We forgive our forgetting and remember our truth. How deeply grateful I am for this human experience, because it is always unfolding. I'm grateful for my understanding of the spiritual truth seeking expression. I am grateful to experience and value both. So I release this prayer into the flow of infinite becoming with a calm and assured peace. And so it is.